Hey, my name is Thomas Gregory. I decided to do a feasibility report on the Social Services Block Grant. The Social Services Block Grant is formed and part of the Social Security Act from 1935 during the Great Depression. Most have not heard of it, but social services still need to be performed by the federal government, whether or not there is economic disparities. So, we have the Social Services Block Grant. The Social Services Block Grant, however, was not fully utilized by the population until about the 1950s. And even then, 50% of the people who knew of it did not use it because the economic stability was progressively getting better, and admitting that you needed or wanted funds outside of your own gain from working or returning from war was a sign of weakness for the males. Social Services Block Grant was then granted in Title 20. Now, Title 20 was signed by President Gerald Ford in 1974, but not implemented until 1975. Title 20 was just a subtitle of the Social Services Block Grant. It was to get record of where the funds were going with the block grant, as there was barely any of them. So, Title 20 was to remedy the current issue that they had with this block grant. In the beginning, it worked out famously, but over time, people find ways to get around loopholes, especially those within government. And the Social Services Block Grant was also doing some things behind closed doors that only until later, during the reopening of the 1981 revisiting of the Social Security Act, did President Barack Obama in 2010 reappeal for the Affordable Care Act. In this, he found that Social Services Block Grant was in fact taking funds from bipartisan parties, but was not making any profits off this because of all the payoffs that they had to do. So this entire reckoning was for nothing. But on top of that, the Social Services Block Grant at this point is crowding out safety net measures that we have within our government. With over $446 billion spent on the block grant each year, it oversees only 29 programs, and it overlaps with 20 of them. Its necessity is in question. While also, the Social Services Block Grant has been using about $1.7 billion a year that they just title as Other in their reports. These funds have not been required or asked for the most part, and the only document that will be provided is of those in attendance to these meetings. Now, this is not an accusation to the Social Services Block Grant. Things are not disclosed for a reason, but it does spark curiosity. And after the Affordable Care Act, Title 20 was set into two subtitles, one of which being retaining provisions related to the Social Services Block Grant. No change there. And then new provisions related to elder justice. Now, I think it is critical to know that Title 20 now is a huge part of the Elder Justice Act. But back to the point of the Social Services Block Grant. It is very hard to talk about, and very little information is disclosed at this point. But being born in 1935, being utilized for social services so little, but when it does it, with so many funds, it makes a difference. So when they tag in, they're great, but when they don't, we're missing something. Is it feasible?